But Arsenal have got to have something up their sleeve. And I say that because Chelsea's sort of in the nose have said, again, as we saw on the screen earlier, that Nico Williams is on the radar, but unlikely. There's a number of Arsenal accounts that have sort of spoke about how you're kind of monitoring the Nico Williams situation. He's on your list. He's a high priority. There was a big in the know the other day that a lot of Gooners tell me is fairly credible that stated something along the lines of, you've contacted his camp again to see the situation. You've got Gyökeres where there's been no move for him. But, I mean, Arsenal have got to do something soon, would you not think, in that attacking area? It looks like Mikel Moreno is going to come in. It's just, but I'm getting to a point where I'm a little bit confused about what Arsenal are doing. I mean, you've also rejected 27 million for Eddie Nketiah. You're holding out for the right price.
Yeah.
Are you getting frustrated as that as a Gooner, or is that just part of the process?
For me, it's part of the process. I ain't getting too frustrated yet. I've said I always wait till the end of the transfer window to really give my thoughts on the transfer window. Obviously the frustrating part from a fan's point of view is like, you just look at Arsenal and say, listen, just go and slap the money down for Nico Williams, get him over the line, or a Pedro Neto, slap the money for an Osimhen or Gyökeres and bring him over the line. And our team becomes phenomenal, in my opinion. You bring in them two, you bring in a winger like Neto or Nico Williams, and then you bring in a striker like Alvarez or Osimhen, or even Gyökeres, then all of a sudden our team is just, I think then we're almost levels with City in the sense of team. Yeah, and it frustrates fans because they're like, why don't they just do that? Like, obviously it looks like we want to sell players before we buy players. FFP's kind of really scared a lot of teams, I think, like all that financial stuff. But the Eddie Nketiah one, I'm not actually annoyed at. I'm really not. I'm one of them that ain't, because it's one of them damned if you do, damned if you don't for Arsenal fans. With the fans, it's like we moan about our club getting shafted in all these deals, and why did United sell these young players for this amount of money? They're not worth that money. They're not It's because they've always kept the same thing of, if you want our player, you pay that money. Yeah, they don't bend. They don't.
It's self-awareness, Giuseppe, considering Eddie barely got any game time towards the end of the season, well, not even end of the season, more than halfway, considering the fact that you gave him number 14, gave him 100 bags a week, considering the fact that you've trusted this guy, but when he's been available and fit, he hasn't been played, and now you're asking for all this money. Like, naturally, his value has dropped. If you were playing him more last year and he was starting games and that, like towards the second half of the season when you improved, 100%, I'd hear you out. But at the minute, bro, his value was going down every time you're sitting on the bench last season, bro.
I hear it, but I look at it like, we've asked you for a certain amount. You've gone well below that certain amount, so we're not accepting it. Come up.
What's the amount you've asked for?
We've asked for 30 million now.
Yeah, but bro, wait, 30 million euros or 30 million pounds.
And that's what I mean. They've offered like 27. Now you can bend over and take that, or you can start showing that we're not doing that anymore. We're not that guy anymore, because at the same time, yeah. Like, I don't care if Eddie Nketiah stays if we sign another striker. The only worry that I have of Eddie Nketiah staying is if Eddie Nketiah stays and we don't sign a striker. If we want 30 million for Eddie Nketiah, I swear, down to me, and we signed Osimhen, for example, and we've asked for 30 million. No, we don't want less than 30 million. I'd rather keep him than take less than 30 million, because I think that Arsenal need to actually start showing that we would rather keep him then. You ain't got your player. You didn't want us to pay the 3 million extra. We don't roll like that anymore, because I think you have to become serious. And Arsenal fans have zero composure. Like, I went mad about it yesterday. Arsenal fans have no composure. Every time a bit of news comes on the Twitter and that, this club, we don't know anything. We don't know that there ain't a team offering a bit more, like, in principle, like over the phone to us for Eddie. Like, you don't know that there's someone saying, look, there's a Premier League team saying, listen, we want Eddie. We're willing to pay 30 million, but we just got to wait to sell this, and this, going for him. You don't know this sort of things. We turned down the money. Now, that could, if we don't sell him, it's going to be the end of the world for Arsenal fans if we don't end up selling him.
Oh, it's going to be a meltdown central.
It's going to be a meltdown.
Central.
But I don't think we just turn that down without a thing of knowing what we're doing, Arsenal. I don't think they do. And I don't want them to accept. Like, I want us to change, because we lose money on players so many times. But our record signing, I think, is now, I think it might actually be Smith Rowe now, or it's Balogun last season. That's our record.
Yeah, but Giuseppe, what value? How much would you say he's worth then?
Eddie Nketiah, 30 million euros, easy. I'm telling you now,
25 million pounds, and they've offered you 27 million. You said no
euros.
Yeah.
Yeah, euros.
Not far off,
yeah,
man. Eddie's
no,
meaty, man.
yeah.
Eddie's meaty. Like the guy that was actually quality coming up with Saka has actually gone to Fulham now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know. But what I'm trying to say is, you see Eddie Nketiah, yeah. First of all, I actually think that he's not as meaty as everyone makes out he is. He's not good enough for Arsenal Football Club. He's not that level, yeah. You put him in the French league, he bags 15 goals in the French league. I generally believe he bags 15 goals in the French league, easy, yeah, for a team like Marseille. Now, a striker market is the striker market. He's an English guy coming from an English striker market. I know they don't have the English tax. 30 million euros is not a lot to be asking for this guy, in my opinion. I don't think that's a like when we were asking for 50 million, like when we come out and said we want 50 million euros, that's a joke. I agree that there's no way on earth he's worth that. But 30 million euros, bro, for a striker, it is what it is. Strikers are more expensive.
Do you think it's a dangerous game? Do you think it's a dangerous game that you're playing a bit? Yeah, because let's say Marseille walk away now, and then you don't get any offers in the Prem, like for what you're asking for, and then now towards the end, another team comes and just says, "Yeah, here's 15 million," and then before you know it, Arsenal are just accepting about 15 million less. Has that crossed your mind that could potentially happen?
I don't think that will happen because I think Arsenal, want to change their transfer policy of selling players and not taking crappy deals from people and just for the thing. And second of all, we've got to remember, we're looking from it as a fan point of view. 15 million, just take it, just get Eddie out of this club. The club probably don't look at Eddie in the same way as we do. Yeah, they're probably not. They're probably like, if we don't get it, we're not desperate to sell this guy.
Well, that element I do agree with. When they posted the other day, one of the big channels posted, media outlets, posted sort of how much money has been raised through selling players in the last decade. I think Chelsea were top on like 1.3 billion, City were on like 1.1 billion, and like Man United were like mid-table on like 400 million. Arsenal weren't that far ahead of us on sort of 450 million. And this is where I get annoyed. We're talking Arsenal specifically right now, so I'll speak about the negative Arsenal fans. The same people I saw say, look how crap we are at selling our players. Look how much more Chelsea have raised $1 billion more than us in the last year. We're awful. Are the same lane brains who go, just accept 10 million for Eddie. But your logic of just selling for whatever is the reason why you've only raised 400 million in sales or whatever it may be in the last decade. And I said this on Straight Facts on Friday, and I'm saying it on Straight Facts again now. Those people that say things like that, unless they've got big YouTube channels where they're making money, right? Then I believe they're saying it for attention to make money by now, because then they can't be that dumb with the level of education we get now as football fans. I genuinely believe some of these people are doing it for sexual release. I believe they get a no, I do. I believe they get a sexual release from the hate they get for writing nonsense. I think they sit there going, oh, look at all the people that I've triggered. And I think they get out their very special wet sock and they have a little bit of, they play with their platypus because
I didn't expect to hear that. That said sexual release.
No, I think it has to be. But I kind of get, if you're someone that's like, do you know what? I've got a YouTube channel or I'm a Twitch streamer or I'm a TikToker. TikTokers are the ones because they earn money. Some TikTokers earn stupid money. I kind of get why you would say things you don't really mean. 1 minute you're saying we've got to sell players for more money. The next minute you're kicking off that you're not selling a player you don't like. I kind of get why for a TikToker you would say that for the attention and the views it gives you. But if you've got barely any, you're not making, if it's on Twitter and you're not making any money, right? Because the blue thing on Twitter doesn't really make anyone any money unless you're, I don't know, someone who's got tens of millions of followers. I sort of look at it and think to myself, it can only be sexual release from the endorphins you get through triggering people. That's the only reason you're writing nonsense like that, in my opinion. I think it's a sexual fantasy thing.
You know what I think it is as well with them? There's a lot of people on Twitter that want, what is the right word, traction. They want replies in their things. They want people to go back and forth with stuff. They want comments on their stuff. Makes them feel a bit more appreciated maybe in just life. You don't get that when you don't normally get that much when you put a positive message out. When you put a negative, you get a lot of people that are like, "But this guy's chatting absolute crap." So you get more. I feel like people comment on it. It's the only thing that makes sense because that's what winds me up so much about the Arsenal fans. And I kind of get why rivals are onto Arsenal fans all the time. And as I'd like to say, I'd like to say a level-headed Arsenal fan. It winds me up because I've almost got us all the time go on shows and answer for these guys. I've got to sometimes talk and answer for these fans on Twitter that chat absolute nonsense about it, like, why aren't we signing players yet? West Ham have signed 2 players. And I said to them, I was talking to a few of the boys in the chat, even like a few of the boys that do YouTube and that, they're the same about these transfers and that. And I said, well, hold on. Yeah. If it was up to you guys, we would have paid 10 million extra for Calafiori just to get it done a week earlier because you were like, just pay him the money, just pay him the money. A week later goes by. A week later goes by. We signed him for 10 million less than everyone thought we had to pay for him. And we've only had to wait a week. I said, this is why you don't run football clubs, mate, because you'd run them into the ground. I said, as long as you get the players, and that's why I don't stress over the transfer window until the transfer window closes. Definitely Arsenal right now, because I feel like people are like, yeah, but we need players that need time to integrate into the team. I don't see that when you've got when you're already a decent, solid team. I don't think that's as much a thing. Like, even if we sign players, they don't need to necessarily play the first couple games. We've got a team that's been enough together, are good enough to do the first few games and be all right. And they can some players just come straight in and fit in like Declan Rice and that. When it's like a Man United with what you're doing now, I get getting them in early, giving them more of a pre-season with the club, integrating them in because you're kind of signing players that you kind of need straight away.
But even then, there's a comment I started. Sorry to interrupt you. There's a comment I started right at the start of the show. It says, Terry, based on your financial waffle, United has money, but are moving like they don't. I didn't say that we had a bottomless pit of money. I did say that I thought we'd spend more than £100 million, and we're pretty close to that. But it's not like we're moving like we have no money. Man United have overpaid and undersold for 11 years. And although I see some United fans, and I do get it, let's just get Ugarte now. Let's get the lit. We've had a few injuries. We need to get them in. We need to ensure that we are still getting them at a sensible and a fair price because we have to start building up the respect we have when we walk into these dressing rooms. All these elements are part of running successful football clubs. And this idea that it's just spend whatever necessary, it will work. But that's what Man United did for 11 years. And look where we ended up. You have to conduct yourself in a manner that yields respect. And I would say in the past 20 years, Arsenal and Man United have lost that respect. And I think Arsenal are building themselves back up to it. But like I said before, I genuinely believe that the majority of these fans are saying this. It's either fake outrage to make money or fake outrage for attention. And then whatever they want the attention, whether it's, just to make themselves feel better, whether it's sexual release, it's got to be one of these things because you can't speak out to both sides of your mouth like that and there not be an ulterior motive.
In this day and age, they don't like people seem to want to stop critical thinking. Any little bit of critical thinking where you're thinking about these things and, thinking about the business side of the game, they don't want to hear it, bro. They don't want to hear it. They think football's just all black and white. You know what I'm trying to say? So,
well, I think United fans that have moaned about the Man United fans have moaned about the Glazers for years, and then are like, "No, guys, we've got to go out and buy these players now." Yes, we have to go and get them. I agree. It's become a little bit more pressing, but having that pressing nature where we then just succumb to the people we're negotiating with and give them whatever they want will lead to us bending over backwards for more people in the future. There's almost part of me this summer, as much as I want these signings, if we end up walking, like we did with Branthwaite, if we end up walking away and not signing someone will go, can't believe we're starting the season with this player, with McTominay instead of signing Ugarte. I want Ugarte, but I don't want to overpay or not get a deal that we are very happy with or comfortable with. Because if that's the precedent that's set, in the medium to long term, we're always going to fall short. Because if you overbuy and you undersell, you will always run out of money before you can complete your project. Like anything, unless you've got a bottomless pit of money, which no football club has because there's regulations of how much you can lose and how much you can spend, and that's getting even tighter. It's like most normal people in life. There's only if you go out and went to Tesco's and paid over the odds, I'm going to pay you more than these are worth, and you went into your job and said, you know what, pay me less than I'm owed. See how long that lasts until you fucking lose everything, you morons. I'm Terry, just sick and tired of this stupid way of thinking.
Terry, and the thing, exactly, everything that you've said is common sense, bro. It's so simple what you've said, right? But then you have a lot of people in your fan base that are going to start saying, look at this guy, Ineos lover, because you understand what's going on. And that's what you get in the Chelsea fan base as well. When you explain certain things, the business side of things, it's you're a Clear Lake lover. You just want to slob up Clear Lake. And I'm like, bro, I can just think like how they're thinking in terms of the business side of the game. People forget there's a business, right? And you want your club to not be in the red zone, bro. You know what I'm trying to say? So you can actually go and spend money.
Yeah, people forget about pride as well. Like, I know pride isn't always the greatest thing. Like, pride can get you in situation, but like, even as a club, yeah, your pride, like, sometimes you got to take a bit of an L to save your pride, bruv. Like, why am I? Yeah, cool. We didn't get the player because we didn't want to get treated like mugs because we're Manchester United or because we're Arsenal, because they mugged us off. Because if it was another team, they'd accept 20 million less. So, out of pride of myself and to show that you ain't treating us like this anymore, we're going to have to take this one small L, which in the long run, people won't see it, will actually benefit. And that's what I'm saying with the Eddie Nketiah thing. That's what I am saying. As long as we, all right, cool. If we get to the end of the transfer window and we don't sign anyone and we keep Eddie, that will kind of annoy me a bit. But if we signed a striker still and kept Eddie because that offer didn't come in, I'm actually happy with that.